Penny Young-Nance is president and CEO of Concerned Women for America. She has wrote a piece arguing that Christine Ford's account of an assault by Brett Kavanaugh is missing essential details. The rest of us need to assess it. Penny Young-Nance joins us tonight. Penny, thanks a lot for coming on.
It's great to be here. Thanks.
So I think most people watching this came into it with a pretty open mind. I know feminists are always saying no one believes the woman, but most people I know want to believe.
That's right.
But it's hard because there are missing details. What should we know that we don't in order to assess this?
Well, first let me tell you, I'm coming at this as a woman who has been a victim of an attempted rape and a physical assault when I was pregnant with my first child in a running path in Virginia. I have written a whole chapter in my book about that issue. I've testified before Congress advocating for women and victims of sexual violence, advocating for the Debbie Smith Act, and written numerous, op-eds about this. This is an important issue to my heart, but I care about justice, and that's the missing piece here. We do believe that a person is innocent until proven guilty in this case, and we've got Judge Kavanaugh in an impossible position. People have noted this. I would like to believe that women are always morally superior to men as the head of Concerned Women for America. Right. But the Duke lacrosse case and Lena Dunham's book, and even going back to classic literature to To Kill a Mockingbird, we know that's not always true because we are broken people. The best that we can do is try to get to the truth.
Well, and you're saying that not every woman always tells the truth in every instance?
Sadly, that is the case. Of course it is. And we know that you don't immediately become more moral because you're a woman. That's why justice must be blind. Right. Justice has to be blind to everything: gender, race, socioeconomics, age. And we're counting on that. And if we get away from that notion, it is dangerous for our nation. It's dangerous for everyone in our country.
If the presumption is that people are judged on the basis of their sex or race, right, or their immutable characteristics, that's not a component, you say.
That's right. It absolutely is not. Now, listen, I believe women, and I think we have a right to use our voice and to speak up. And as a victim, we have to have the opportunity to come forward and share our perspective. But we also need to understand that we deserve to give justice to everyone in this nation. And Concerned Women for America is there for Judge Kavanaugh. We still support him. If something changes, if we actually is proven that he's a sexual predator, or anyone sitting on the Supreme Court today, we would be the first people calling for impeachment. Sure. We would be leading the charge, but that's not where we are. And so we strongly are still in support of him. In fact, we're doing a Women for Kavanaugh rally Thursday morning behind the Senate Russell Building, 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Any of your viewers that want to come would be welcome. This is an important moment for conservative women to speak up on this issue.
Penny Nance, thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media. She has wrote a piece telling parents how to Christine Blasey Ford-proof your son. She had 4 tips for all parents. Megan Fox joins us tonight. Megan, thanks a lot for coming on. So what does this mean? What's the prophylactic against getting accused of something, and what would you tell parents to tell their boys?
Well, there is no total prophylactic, of course, but I would tell them to first, when they're young, for sure, take them to church, give them a moral standing in life, teach them about their dignity as a person and the dignity of others. The second thing is to avoid drinking, stay sober, avoid girls who drink, avoid these drunken parties that can be used against you in 30 years, and also always act as if you are going to have a position of authority and a high position, and act accordingly. It's like the Mike Pence school of thought. Don't be alone with a woman who's not your wife.
Well, wait a second. That's like crazy evangelical stuff, isn't it?
That's what they've brought us to, Tucker. That's what they brought. We're going to have to bring back chaperones. I mean, there is no way to... I love my son, and I do not want my son to be accused falsely, and so he's going to have to cover himself.
You're right. So what's tip 4?
Well, don't trust women. I think you just touched on that with your last guest. I mean, women are not paragons of virtue just by being a woman. You've ever heard of Delilah or Jezebel, who fabricated evidence against Naboth because she wanted his vineyard? Women do lie. I want evidence. I believe evidence. I don't believe all women. I believe all evidence. And if
what's so funny is that spoken such like, I mean, I'm just being completely honest. I kind of do trust all women. I know I shouldn't intellectually, but I think that most men, and the left lies about this, instinctively trust women. I do think it's baked in our genetic cake. I do. That's how I feel anyway. And all the women I know are deeply suspicious of women's motives. Do you notice this?
That's because we know what we're talking about. Huh? That's because I am a woman. I know this for a fact. I've known women my whole life. Women are just as easily evil as men.
I just don't believe that. But I mean, obviously, I know you're right, but it's hard to convince me. Megan, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Tucker.
Well, the left is losing control as it is consumed with hysteria over Brett Kavanaugh. Now, anyone who knows Kavanaugh, thinks he's a decent person, is fair game for physical harassment. It is happening here in Washington.